So nice to see so many joining today. Right. Cool. Now we have up to 60. So I will, and the clock is 1 minute past. So I will kick this off. And I would love to welcome every one of you here to this webinar and lunch session with Jonah Andersson, and also in collaboration with Teknico and Tjejer Kodar. So it will be a lot of mixed of people in both Teknico and Tjejer Kodar's community. So I'm just gonna start by just quick intro. Tjejer Kodar is a community for women interested in tech and programming, and we've been around since 2015, so we're actually turning 10 years this year. We're super excited about that, and actually Teknico started right after, like 1-2 years after Tjejer Kodar, since Tjejer Kodar was started with code boot camps, because Hannah and Sandra, who's the founder, were very they wanted to learn programming themselves, and they felt like they missed a forum or a community for women in tech back then in 2015. So they started one themselves, began with a coding camp in, I think, Barcelona. 100 girls went over there, learned the basics of coding, and after that it grew very organically fast. And after a few years they realized, okay, people who have been ladies who have gone the code boot camps wanted to learn more and actually study more of coding and programming, and wanted to work with it. So they okay, we will start a boot camp, tech boot camp, so we can you can actually learn to become a front end or web developer. So that's when Teknico came about. So quick, a little bit about Teknico and Tjejer Kodar. And I'm Isabel. I'm a project manager and event community manager for both Teknico and Tjejer Kodar. And I actually do not have some tech background, but I'm super interested. And if I could choose today to re-educate myself, I would love to become a coder, actually. So I'm super excited for this webinar with Jonah today. And so that's enough talking from my point. And I will just also say we have a Q&A session, 5 or 10 minutes in the end. But you can still write your questions if they pop up in the chat function, and we will see if we can have time to do them. So enough, like I said, I give the stage and warm welcome to Jonah Andersson.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much, Isabel, for the great introduction. I'm so happy there's so many of us. Wow, I can't believe that we're really Amazonian women in tech are on lunch break together, learning together with me and about this topic. So thank you so much. I'm ready to share. I'm live. I'm a real person in my home office right now. So I'm on my lunch break as well. So if you want to grab something to eat, feel free to do that. You can show yourself while eating and learning, and feel free to do that. And converse and interact on the chat as well, if you want. And I want to start. I mean, before I kind of like kick off the webinar today, I want to like share also. Oh, I'm sharing another thing. I want to share a Mintimeter. Like I want to survey and get to know all of you. So if you have, I'm not sure. I hope you can see this presentation mode. Do you see the Mentimeter, by the way? This one.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
We can
If
see
you
it.
have menti.com or in the app, you can enter the code. I just want to see a bit of kickoff of how we are, our self vibe check in, I call it. I just made it up actually. Let's see what's the vibe today of this group. So I see some people joining. Oh, lots of us. Awesome. Great. Nice. I like Mintuiter. Oh, one is sleepy. Okay, I like that. Nice. I need to take a quick video of this the vibe check-in. I like how it moves. Okay. That's great. Awesome. I see that we have a dominating excitement, greatness, awesomeness, happiness, and all just positive vibes on this webinar. Awesome. It makes me very humbled and inspired also to see that, and I would add my hearts as well onto this. So next one, I'm curious to know more about you. Like, what is your career role? If you're in the career shifting or you're still student, feel free to write it down. But this is for all of us to learn about each other as a group or a community. Student, developer. Yes, it is actually a career to be a student. It requires a lot of effort to be there and finish it up. Right? Wait, the view is a bit like a list. I should have made it better. Okay. That's great. Nice to meet. We have a diverse group of audience today. Um, That's awesome. Developers, it looks like we can learn a lot from each other. We have a technical project manager, developers. That's awesome. That's great. Nice to meet you all. Cognitive science student, full stack developer. That's great. Okay. And I think I can proceed just to think. What are your expectations for this launch webinar? Curious to hear about it. So I know how I'm gonna do my tempo as well on this talk. Okay, learn something new. I hope that they allow multiple answers because I know all of this applies actually for us. It's great. Most of us seems like upskilling and learn something new. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay. A few more is still filling in. That's great. That's great. I think I have a few more. I think that one, what you expect, that's the same from the previous, so don't need to do that. But that's it, actually. I have that. And let me reshare my screen and share to you the presentation. I have four screen, four screens on my here. Let me see if I can find the Zoom again. Stop share. And here, the other computer. Okay. That's great. I hope that you see the presentation now. Yes. Uh, okay. Good. Can Isabel confirm if the presentation is showing?
Yeah, sorry. Of course, it's up and
Okay.
running. Fantastic.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So, hi everyone. I'm actually I kan prata svenska också. But Isabel and I have decided to deliver the session in English because that's how I usually prefer it, especially when I speak at conferences or webinars, to include everyone that might not Swedish as their first language. So, and also my first language is actually English and Filipino because I grew up in the Philippines. But we can have the questions both in English and Swedish later at the end of the session. So who am I? I'm Jonah Andersson. I am from Sweden. I am not based in Stockholm, but I am in a little a little town called Harmånger, which is in between Sundsvall and Hudiksvall. So if you have any Gävleborg or in Norrland, it's about 2.5 speed SJ train from Stockholm. So when I'm in Stockholm, I just take the train, and it's not so bad, not so far. So I'm often there for work and community events. But who am I? To those that have not known me, actually, the reason why I'm here today because I reached out to Shea Kodar and told them I'm someone that really likes to inspire what I do. And when I was a junior developer here in my town, I had opportunity to teach kids programming, and that's the reason why I I started public speaking because the being a programming coach in that school kind of inspired me to be less shy and to do public speaking because I used to be very shy and not so talkative. But I saw that the few of my students from that class were not so many girls. I mean, not so many girls in that. So I decided to start public speaking, and this is what you see in my profile right now. I'm working as a senior Azure consultant at the consulting company Solidify, which is recently acquired actually by Code, a new company. It's actually my first time be working in a company that being acquired by a bigger one. So let's see how it goes. But I also have my own company called Jonah Andersson that tech, where I put in all my small royalties or income from my book. As you see, I wrote a book, my first book, learning Microsoft Azure cloud computing and development fundamentals. So you will see this book. I have actually the Chinese version of the book, which I don't understand. I mean the Chinese like characters because I don't speak Chinese, but it's translated in different languages. And the story behind this book is very interesting, which I will be sharing to you why I'm speaking a lot about it, cloud, and my journey to my upskilling using cloud platform Microsoft Azure and the book itself. So I am very active. You see me probably if you try to look me up on LinkedIn or search my name, you will see me a mix of everything. Who is Jonah? I'm a speaker with 10 years experience in development, specifically .NET. I work with cloud and infrastructure focus on Microsoft Azure. But at the same time, I am also teaching Azure as a Microsoft certified trainer through my company. And I'm a tech leader and founder of Azure User Group Sweden. And I also do a podcast, Extend Women in Tech. And I won a few awards and recognized by the community, which feels very humbling to see that I can have like these titles. But I want to highlight that what I really want to do and my purpose, why I do what I do in all kinds of areas, like my ikigai, is to inspire you. others and others about technology and what I do in tech. And I'm a type that really consider like diversity and inclusion on top of my talks and when I work and when I share knowledge, because I believe that we are very unique and we have the power to pay forward what we learned uh, ourselves in technology and others, both technical and non-technical. Non-technical as well. And I believe in the power of community. So I'm very glad to be given the opportunity to share this knowledge of cloud and Azure with you today in your community. So thank you for your time. So I have about 10 plus experience. That's only in Sweden because in the Philippines, I studied computer science, major in programming. So my first programming language is Visual Basic on small computers. But to make the long story short, my mother died of breast cancer when I was 18. I became a breadwinner in the Philippines. So instead of working as an IT consultant or programmer in the Philippines, I took the best possible IT job in my city in the Philippines, and that's to work as an tech support. And that led me to work in different roles, such as I did customer service or tech support. I used to be a travel consultant. But when I moved to Sweden in 2011, and it's about 14 years ago now, soon, I want to be a developer. I want to continue what I learned. So I studied uh, Agile Systemutvecklingen or .NET development in Hudiksvall and Yrkeshögskola here. And then I also studied Java development for 3 years at total. And then I worked as an IT consultant in Sundsvall in different companies. And now I'm doing both consulting, public speaking in some conferences. So I travel and do remote working. And I also lead a team of cloud and DevOps engineering in my consulting project. Speak a lot about Azure. So I think I am at least one of the best gals you will see today in Europe or in Sweden talking about this technology. So today, I hope that I can introduce you a bit with cloud computing, what it is. Probably of you knows the basic already, but to those that haven't touched on it before, since most of us or maybe half of this the attendees in the community are new to cloud, I would like to touch a bit of what it really is and focus on one of the platforms, Microsoft Azure. So the what, the why, and how. And cloud computing and Azure itself are a huge topic, even if we zoom into Azure and how we can build with it. So I hope that our time is enough. I prepared a presentation, a code demo, and learning resources. But we'll try to respect each other's time, and we will have time for Q&A. So my plan is teach you a bit an overview of Azure, and I hope if our time permits, I give you a virtual tour of Microsoft Azure, how the global data centers of Azure looks like what where does I mean is cloud really cloud? Are they really up there in the cloud? But they are not actually. They are also like computers, but they have the data centers somewhere in different locations or regions. And then also a bit of demo and learning resources. So has any of you seen this actually? This one, do you know what it is? You can unmute or uh, Isabel can be a moderator also, but this one is a 3.5 floppy disk. This one is a 3.5 floppy disk. And then this one is a zip disk. So they kind of like connect to kind of like they used to be the storage device in the good old days. And I remember when I was studying computer science back then, I have like piles of this, lots of this in my backpack as a programming student because I had to have many of this to save my programming projects at that time or my notes or even HTML files that I used to write from Notepad from scratch and learn how to do HTML tags from start tag to the end and publish that web page to a web server. So I want to share this with you as a beginning point because 3.5 floppy disks, these are considered like what do you call that? Like something you can have in an IT museum because today we store a lot of things. Like for example, on our phone, we store our iCloud, our phone. Believe it or not, I have about 15,000 images on my phone because I like to take photos of my dog and my garden. And it's so amazing that I myself, or us, many of you that probably have seen this before, the way we store data was different before the cloud computing. And it makes us easier to kind of like read, update, and save them. Even in our database are on the cloud now. But in the old days, you have to have piles of this, and sometimes you have to label what it is, and maybe it's just one picture you can put inside it, depending on high quality is your image for that. So and also in the good old days, we have these computers, the CDR computers, small ones. I remember I finished studying computer programming in the Philippines without owning my own laptop, but I managed to finish the course. So what I did, I used my school money as my like payment for computer rental on a computer shop to do my courses or my studies back then. But this is also one of the things that changed because of cloud in our devices today. We even have a microchip computer instead of having this big screen. So yeah, I did actually spend a lot of internet using the internet at internet cafe a long time ago. And how did my journey started? Like from Jonah, learning computer science and teaching about cloud, writing a book about it. How did it start? So my cloud journey actually started when I was working as a junior developer in Sundsvall, one of my consulting company years ago. This is about 6 to 8 years ago, and I had the opportunity to as a developer to migrate an on premises, meaning traditional application, to the cloud, and the platform that they wanted was Microsoft Azure. And through that experience, I learned about cloud computing. And to those of you that probably have studied computer science, you're probably familiar of the history of the evolution of cloud. So in the 1960s, there's this mainframe computing was the first one. So they have very big computers, like in computer science, like you hear probably of Charles Babbage with the mainframe computers that looks like a room. And then there's also the cluster computing in the 1980s, grid computing, like a grid, computers connected to each other like a grid in the 90s. And then around 2007, moving forward, the cloud computing came. And today, just this past few years, I haven't added it here, but we have edge computing now. We have AI is the very trending tech evolution today that is going to continue, and I think is a good match with cloud computing technologies such as Microsoft Azure and other platforms. So just to go back in history, in 1960s, they have the supercomputers they call mainframe computers. Probably you hear them like IBM machines, and there are still actually applications or system today that are using old systems. And this is the old way of computing back then. But I want to highlight this person, this woman, who is, you probably have seen this, who wants to unmute and share who is this pretty gal on the screen right now.
Gonna
Um,
be Ada Lovelace. Is it?
Yes. Yeah, you won a goodies. Thank you so much. It is, of course, we are women coders. We know who it is. So it is actually Lady Ada Lovelace, the first computer programmer. They we always expect this stereotype that it's a male that's like the first programmer. It's actually the woman. It was a woman, Lady Ada Lovelace. You hear a lot about her. She's a good role model in the good old days, and I'm very also proud to say that my birthday is September 13, which is a programmer's day, which is very good. But just to highlight the women in cloud computing, if you have Wikipedia or if you search it, Lady Ada Lovelace was one of the influencers in terms of cloud computing, and you will see also other women that actually made a difference behind the scenes. So you always thought that it's just like men that made the programming, but you see they are actually like women also and diverse roles that were had to push the buttons and has to do things to make a difference, because if they weren't there, the cloud computing might be different. So they made an impact, which led us to have cloud computing, and without cloud computing we won't have AI and the tools that we are using day to day in our day to day tasks. So these are the list of women programmers that were part of the mainframe computer programmers. So if you see, they didn't have a keyboard like us that translate what we put in our keys and write it in an IDE and integrate like a computer program. They literally had to move some wires and buttons to do some calculations, which is very interesting and amazing how their effort had made a difference from that history to where we are today. And it made an impact in a way that it makes computing easier for us. And we're building and solving a lot of problems that we are also learning today in terms of programming with apps, programming with AI, and like using what we build to help others as well, like companies that we work for. So cluster computing, this is just I'm gonna touch more because I don't want this talk to be a history class. I have a lot to to teach you, but evolution, this is cluster computing. So you see a computer there, there's a terminal, and then they are like tightly coupled computers that are like talking to each other, and they are kind of like divided as like components. And then the grid computing, you wouldn't know that it is a grid kind of computing because they have kind of like a control server where they can perform a task, but it looks like a grid. So there's like a collection of computer resources. They can be in different location, and they can be in an independent clusters of computing. So they act like a grid, but they needs to be connected like a network. And then this is where cloud computing is today since that year, 2007. It's kind of like considered the fifth generation of computing, in which like instead of like the women in computing in the mainframe days had to have a physical wire or physical thing to put on to put the resources. We have our computers, but the computing resources are on the cloud. So you see that what you can see here, for example, we have our like devices, our computers, our servers, our phones, maybe tablet, but everything that is compute related in terms of applications, the platform, infrastructure. When you say infrastructure, it can be a storage or networking, and the data platform can be a database or identity, including monitoring, and the content for the apps are actually on the cloud. So everything is hosted there and not the traditional way in which you need to have a physical computer or data center or a floppy disk like this that to save data. Now it's kind of like you can store terabytes, thousands of terabytes or billion bytes big data into the cloud. And it's so amazing how it transitioned to a tiny, small sized, like floppy disk like this, and to a mainframe computer into having being able to build applications for the cloud. So that's a good intro for the cloud computing itself. If you have questions, feel free to kind of like post it in the chat, and Isabel and I will help out answering them in the last section of our webinar today. So, how does everything works actually in the cloud? So usually on the cloud, it's kind of like everything, the computer that you have are virtualized. So meaning you can virtualize a machine like a virtual machine. Same as your computer, you can choose your operating system. You can virtualize your server, like database server or web server. We have some of us that are studying computer science and also just computer programming and also working already as the developer. As you know, when you virtualize, do application development, you need to have sometimes a server, and the server can be a web server where you deploy your apps, and it can be a server where you have your databases, or a server that runs jobs, agent jobs, or it can be a server where you put in your storage on the cloud. So a lot of that are virtualization. And with the cloud computing technologies that we have today, as users or even as organizations, our company that we work for, we can save those data. We can customize how much storage we want for our application. So it's more like very flexible and very diverse in a way that you can choose where you want to host your applications in the cloud, and you get these capabilities just such as like cost optimization. You can host it at a global scale with this technology on the cloud platforms we have today. There's productivity because you and your team members, like let's just say you're a development team working for together on a cloud project, you can work and collaborate together because everything is like hosted on the cloud. There are cloud development tools today that allows developers to be productive in the way they work. And when it comes to reliability, for example, like on a uh, traditional IT systems before the cloud computing, sometimes when a disaster come, like a disaster for a calamity in a certain location, if you have your physical servers on that location and something happens, it would be hard to fix it right away unless there's someone that goes to that location and fix it. But with cloud, you do have the option to kind of like manage your infrastructure and kind of like redeploy that service into the cloud. It looks like my screen toggles itself. But anyway, there's a lot of learning opportunities for cloud when it comes to learning and development as well. There was actually, this is a study from 2023, but I think there is probably more studies related to this. So the great drivers why people wants to, like organizations, IT organizations, why they want to move away from the traditional IT is to enable a lot of things. And this is what you will see. Some of the business IT organizations, they prefer or consider at least cloud or hybrid kind of option because of like lower costs of TCO, like total cost of ownership, productivity, and the flexibility to compete with the market that we have today, and also disaster recovery and business continuity. So it is very important that you have a business like IT systems that doesn't go down if something happens. It should be like resilient and robust. That let's just say you are a company that has a web application that does web shops and you have a lot of client, you earn money from it. you want to be able to serve your customers, that your website is up and running all the time. And kind of like cloud computing platforms enable this to users of these platforms. And these are the new roles. Since we're talking about upskilling ourselves, learning new things about cloud computing. And right now, maybe this list doesn't include AI, but I know that AI engineers are in demand since the AI came recently a lot, last year, or a few years ago. But there's a demand of like developers that can do cloud computing, cloud architecture, even DevOps engineer, and even leaders that can lead teams of cloud engineers. So you are on the right track on learning at least the introduction to this webinar. And I will be giving you some learning resources at the end that you can look back and learn more. But the basic, back to basic, you there are actually different kind of clouds, just like the clouds that we get here in Sweden. We have the cumulus clouds. Sometimes we have like, I'm not so good with the names of the cloud, to be honest, but you see sometimes you have big clouds and thin clouds depending on the weather we have. Today is a bit sunny. I see outside, not so many clouds. But when it comes to cloud computing platform, there's public cloud. There's also private. Private is more like secure and privately owned by organizations. And then there's also the hybrid one, which is a combination of public and private. And then there's also the term that you call multi-cloud. And multi-cloud means that it can be public, private, or hybrid, but multi-clouds is more like a concept that an organization, an IT organization, has applications or system, and they host those applications to different cloud platforms, such as say part of their applications are hosted in Amazon cloud, and then part of their system are hosted on Microsoft Azure, and some part of it are hosted on Google or GCP cloud and many other platforms today. And then maybe you don't hear it often. There's also community cloud and government clouds. And government clouds are used by USA governments and other governments. And community are often used by like nonprofit organizations such as hospitals. Sometimes there's a community cloud for universities and schools. So these are the kind of clouds that you can see as well. If you have questions about this, feel free to post it in the chat.
We have one question, but
Oh,
it's
let's make use of that. Let's do
but
that so I can. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I will see. It's RD3 is asking security as a benefit of cloud. I haven't heard it before. In my line of work, cloud is often excluded or for security reasons. Could you elaborate on the security perspective on the cloud?
Oh, okay. Yes, I did mention that I did not have a focus on the security, but yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for raising that question since I'm also like resting my voice in between so I can answer that. So, yeah, so I'm just like giving an introduction about cloud right now, but to answer the question when it comes to security, regardless if your application is in cloud or not. Let me just pause. Why is it like starting this itself? But regardless, if your application is hosted or in cloud or not, it is actually very important to think about security. And this is when this cloud types also matters because if it's public cloud, meaning the compute resources are shared by like the organizations, but I'm not sure why this is. I'm sorry, I'm very bothered that it is um my my touchscreen is doing the the toggling of my presentation right now. Sorry, let me just do this. Okay, to answer the question is when it comes to cloud security, like let's just say if you already have if you already have let me just close. If you already have everything on the cloud or hosted on the cloud, there's actually a tool called Microsoft Defender for Cloud that Microsoft platform has to protect the resources on Azure, for example. However, if there's someone that an organization that has a, let's just say, data center or data that doesn't that needs to be off cloud, then there's actually an option for private cloud with GDPR protection and compliance that both parties needs to follow in terms of shared responsibility model that you can consider to have your private data, for example, hosted in cloud, and something that like applications that needs to be exposed to public can be in that way, and you can combine a hybrid cloud for that. But general security wise, in terms of cloud computing or Azure, there's actually there's a security set of services within any cloud of platforms. I'm very biased because I'm Azure, but I can only speak from the Azure perspective. There's security services such as Microsoft Defender for Cloud that I mentioned. There's Key Vault that you can store your secrets securely, and networking, meaning the resources that you have or the applications or database hosted in cloud, you can configure it in your infrastructure that it's not easily accessible to any public user. So there are certain best practices like the principle of least privilege, the zero trust policies that developers or cloud engineer actually have to apply, including compliance rules to make a better architecture and application for a cloud. So I hope that answered the question. Very long, but I hope it's good. Okay,
Thank
should
you.
we proceed?
Mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's proceed. Let's see. I wanna close that. Okay, good. So that's good. We got a question. I appreciate that. I can do more answers, questions, Q&A later. So cloud models. So right now the common models is the infrastructure as a service. One example is a virtual machine for this, meaning the infrastructure is hosted on the cloud, uh, like um, like virtual machines. Usually in my work, we use a combination of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and SaaS. And this is just like basics of cloud that it's good to understand, especially if you're developing applications for the cloud, because sometimes if you need to be developing in both worlds, you need to identify, is this application is to be hosted on a virtual machine? So that would be infrastructure as a service. What if this application .NET or whatever programming languages it has for backend, maybe the application needs to be hosted as a platform as a service. And in Azure, for example, platform as a service can be a serverless function apps. It can be an app service, or it can be a containers inside an application hosted in a container, but a platform as a service. And same goes with databases. And then software as a service, example of that is like, for example, Dropbox for Azure. For Microsoft part, it can be a software as a service. Example is um, SharePoint, Teams. That's an example of software as a service. But these are like the common tools that we use. But at the same time, we as developers can actually build software as a service on cloud platforms. We just need to kind of like know the architecture, the use case, and how we're going to build it. And you can deploy it in different kinds of models. And I know there are different kind of like type of a service you can build with the cloud. If you're new to the like cloud computing, there's actually a good like illustration about how is cloud like models are being like illustrated. And one example, I did write this in my book as well. It's called pizza as a service. So you see the traditional IT infrastructure that we have, for example, is like making your own pizza at home. So you need to have your everything, prepare everything. But infrastructure as a service, I just say virtual machines. It says it's like take and bake, like you are buying your pizza in one of your pizzeria near your home. So it's like you kind of share it with the cloud computing platform. And then the platform as a service, you have your application and the data in pizza concept. You have your dining table and your soda, but the rest are actually hosted on the cloud, or the pizza is being delivered. You just need to eat it right away. And you have to do some part of it. And then the software as a service, as you can see here, it's like you're dining out at the pizza, meaning it's a software as a package and you pay it per subscription, like Spotify or Dropbox or SharePoint or Teams. That's how many organizations actually are earning money, because that's also the trend. If you're a developer that can build any of this, that's very good, because you can be diverse in the kind of projects that you can be involved with. So if you want to learn about it, there, I want to give credit to this like guy who kind of like Albert Baron, that kind of came up with the concept, and I believe he used to work for IBM, if I'm not wrong. But feel free to check it out if you want to understand more about the cloud model. So even though this is an intro to Azure, um, I want to like highlight also to be agnostic and very inclusive, that it is not just Azure that is the cloud platform that we have today. And probably some of you that are working as developers now, whatever company that you're involved with, there are different platforms that are big, also known like Azure. I know Azure and Google Cloud and even AWS are the top three in Europe, in Sweden, but there are also like IBM Cloud, Oracle, and Alibaba, which is, I believe, very common in China, as their cloud platform. There's probably more that I miss, especially in the coming age of AI today. For sure, there's going to be more, at least not so popular as these big giants, but they have a lot, and you can check them out. But in my perspective, as long as you learn the basic of cloud computing and you start working in any of these cloud providers, the concept is almost the same. Probably you need to learn their UI and how to build things with it, but it's the same idea, the basic why there's a cloud platform. So Microsoft Azure has a lot, which is the focus topic. It's the public cloud platform of Microsoft. And I've seen, I learned a lot about this platform for the past years as a developer and as a cloud engineer, and even someone that wrote a book. So the book that you see here, I spent actually 300 hours on my spare time to write this first book. And because of my cloud migration journey, as well as a developer who had to try a lot of lift and shift, refactoring code, and re-architecting the database and the application, I learned a lot about this platform in different ways, like in the infrastructure as a service way, as a platform as a service way, and even learning about the databases that's available for Azure. So the entire platform is very huge. I mean, this is an old image, but if you search more, there's a lot. So there is services that categorize in different aspects. So the backbone is actually the data centers, which is global. And I'm gonna share to you a website where you can play around and see how does the global infrastructure of Microsoft Azure is. There's infrastructure services such as compute, storage, networking, and then there's also the hybrid cloud options. Probably some of this were renamed because Microsoft is very active in renaming their services. I know Azure AD is changed to Intra ID recently. And then other services probably are phased out, and some other services are being renamed to a modern and better one. But there are different platforms depending on the category, including developer services, analytics, and IoT, and even AI. AI is not included here, but you'll find it as well. And I want to highlight that also, that cloud platform like Azure or any other providers, you need to have some kind of account or subscriptions. But I want to share also that it's actually free in some of the services. So if, I'll show you later that Azure has free services as well. You need to register, of course, on a pay as you go model, or if you're a student, probably you already have access to it if you're learning cloud. But there are free services on most of the type of services in Azure. So if you're a beginner, you can either use Microsoft Learn. If you have an account, Microsoft account, you can learn for free using their learning path, and they have a sandbox. Or if you're a kind of like a wild and brave enough, brave developer, you can build things directly with Azure using their free services. But one thing I want to advise is to make sure that you're like kind of like within the limits of the free services, because you don't want to connect your own credit card or debit card into your Azure account, and then let's just say you provisioned or created a virtual machine, and virtual machine on the cloud is very expensive, especially if you chose the high level tier. And when I was a beginner, that was one of my first mistake. While I was learning, I was like, "Oh, let me create a virtual machine on Azure." It was one of the standard tier. It cost maybe like 800, 900 Swedish crown per day, and somehow I forgot to turn it off or to delete that resource after I did my hands-on and learning. So I ended up with a few a few extra to pay on that, like instead of just having it free. So my advice is use Microsoft Learn and the Sandbox. It's very free. It's safe. You don't even have to put in your credit card or personal info and sign up. Or if you already have one through your school or through your company, utilize the free services. And the best part is if you have real projects in your company or school project, that you can use Azure is also the best way to learn. So, any questions so far in between?
No, not now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Think I'm running out of time. I think it's at only 53 7 minutes left, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, let me see if I can hop in a bit more, and then I will do the demo. I think I will skip some part here. So when it comes to first, I want to share about the common concepts. So in when you think about cloud, you hear a lot of buzz and words and terms aside from AI and Copilot today, agents, MCP trending on LinkedIn or everywhere, learning a lot. You'll also see a lot of topics like such as like serverless computing, platform engineering, where I actually work with that in my work as well, where you write code as infrastructure. So you build the infrastructure as a code or policy as a code, and the infrastructure is built in the platform. And then you'll hear about DevSecOps. So it's not just DevOps, but also the practice of injecting security, cloud security, or security in general into development and operations up to its development life cycle from dev to its delivery to production. That includes monitoring as well, and you will learn a lot about like containers, putting applications into containers. There's like Docker. You'll hear about Kubernetes. There's actually AKS or Azure Kubernetes also in Azure. And you hear a lot about automations, and AI has the agents and building things and learning or working with it, including prompt engineering. So there's a lot of cloud concepts to learn. And my advice for you who is still like in the beginning phase or still learning or adapting, take your time. Don't get so overwhelmed. My advice is to pick the topic or the concept or something that you can apply in your existing project or anything that you're passionate about. But my advice is don't learn everything. My best advice is to learn the basic and take one of this like concepts or technologies with using the programming language that you're very comfortable with, because once you know one programming, my programming language is C sharp or .NET. Next maybe is Java, or I can do full stack as well, but choose your programming skills basic, cloud computing skills basic, knowledge of a specific platform. Choose Azure if you want. I will be giving away copies of my book. I'm going to do a raffle at the end of the session. And then learn about at least the basic of cloud development and how you can use AI with it. I mean, there's a lot of buzz about AI, but don't be lured to that you need to learn a lot, all of AI. Start with the basic, integrate it with your programming skills, your cloud programming skills, and build something with it. If possible, if you have a task that you have to do manually repeatedly, use AI, use your programming skills and cloud computing skills to solve your own problem and make your own applications or use it in your IT project. So, overview about cloud development. Since I'm running out of time, I'm gonna skip some part of I prepared so I can just hop into my demo of how Azure looks like. I think I will skip the code demo because I think we're gonna it's gonna take another hour. I prepared actually a code demo as well of how like an AI chat, but I'll share it the link to Isabel later so you can check the repository that I prepared for you. But just an overview to those that are like new to like cloud development. And if to those, if you have done this, this might be a refresher. So basic, very simple examples. So you have, like just say, an application that might be a web store or a website or a blog. Usually it's hosted in an app service in Azure. And then you deploy it maybe through GitHub or Azure DevOps. And then you have your database on a SQL server. And that's how you kind of like simply integrate it. A more complex one, this is not even so complex, but some parts of the services in Azure, this is an analytical platform where you have your application. So they use like an API management to handle the APIs for the app. And then there's like an AKS cluster or containers involved. And here you see some kind of like data being used. And they use Azure services like Event Hubs, Azure SQL Database, the storage, which is the Azure, and then a Cosmos DB, and how they kind of like build up the analytical platform back to the app using this. And then the networking part, which I shared, is can be also very complex. And this one, this kind of architecture use case combines the Azure virtual machine, so infrastructure as a service. So behind the scenes, there are a lot of security going on in cloud networking. So you see when an application hits the DNS part, which required when you build a website, you need to some kind of a URL, like let's just say sharecoder.com.se, that if you host that in Azure, the app, it's going to have like a DNS kind of configuration, including the networking. And there you can choose if you want to expose it to the public, but it's going to be built in within the Azure virtual network. And there's different kind of layers for it. So that's an overview. I'm gonna skip directly to the demo actually because we're out of time. And let me share, at least Azure, I'll share uh, the part, screen two. That's my screen. Okay, let me see. This is Azure. Okay, this is Azure. Okay. I have a subscription myself. I use it for most of my demos, sometimes personal projects, but this is Microsoft Azure. So they have, if you go search for Azure, you can sign up and register, but they have this platform called portal.microsoftazure.com. So you register using your email address, and each account is associated to a different subscription. You can consider subscription as like your billing profile where you associate with your billing for cloud. You can also have consider subscription as your environment. In my work, for example, we have one subscription per environment, like development, QA, UAT, staging, or production. So you can build your hierarchy of things. But when you think about Azure services, just for the basics, you actually have different services in Azure grouped into categories. So you see they have services such as like AI and machine learning. They have services for compute. And this is where we as developers kind of like involved a lot, especially it depending on, as I said, the basics I shared, like platform as a service or infrastructure as a service. So commonly, if you're a developer working like, for example, .NET, Python, or JavaScript, related apps, um, you will host it in an app service. So that is supported inside that. Or if you're building microservices, you can put it in a function app, containers, Kubernetes services, or container apps environment. And then databases, there's a lot to choose from, but it depends on your architecture and use case. You can use like Azure SQL database, the common one, and there's different type for that. There's Cosmos DB for NoSQL type of databases. There's hybrid data kind of services, meaning the hybrid cloud scenario. So let's just say if you want to have your data on-prem in a private data center, but you also want to have this connector to your public services on the cloud, you do have that. And then when it comes to identity and security, there's that option, DevOps, as well as multi-cloud integration services. Like if you want to connect your APIs both within Azure and external endpoints on your app, you can also do that. Event Grid, that's for messaging services, including the service bus. And monitoring, if you want to monitor and create reports or maybe integrate it with Power BI for other users or business users to see. And security, these are like the security services that I did mention briefly to protect your resources being exposed to the public or potential hackers or security risks for the cloud. So this is generally the overview of like Azure portal. So you have everything in one place. So I have a few examples that I did. For example, I created a DevOps pool recently in a demo. So I did actually clean up already because I didn't want to pay too much for things that I don't use. But this is it. You can also look at the free services. So let's say, where is the free services? So Azure has a home here. You can navigate to like different tools and cost management. And if you filter out the services to free, you can actually see all of them here, just like I shared earlier. And I also want to share the global infrastructure of Azure. Let me see if I can send it in the chat. Okay, chat. This one. So if you go there when you have time, this is the entire global infrastructure of Azure. So if you view map, so all of the data centers of Azure are actually in this map. So where are we? So we are, okay. We are in Sweden, somewhere here. So you see Norway. This is Sweden Central. The Sweden Central is somewhere in Gävle area, but I know they are also building one new things here in all regions. So when you build applications for Azure, for example, it's always a best practice for security, GDPR, and compliance to host your applications closest to you. So if you build your services, for example, Jonah, I have an app. I'm gonna build a website, a web shop. I want to put it in app service. And when you create an app service or database, for example, you will have the option to kind of like create your database and web app in your preferred location. So you even have the option to replicate it in other regions within the global infrastructure. So you can, at least here's the region. So you see, you can choose to put your app in different countries or regions. So let's just say Sweden Central. So if you use Sweden Central in the global infrastructure, your data or your application that will be stored in a big data center storage in Sweden Central. So that's how you kind of provision it. So if you want to know what how it works with for example with uh, data center information, including the type of sustainability or what kind of compliance it support. You can actually see it here if there's a requirement for your applications. So I think I will speed up now because I know I'm running out of time. Let me just reshare. Let me see. Stop sharing and then reshare the last part, and then I'll take a few questions at the end. So, too bad we're run out of time. I have more to share actually, but it's okay. We can have a part two maybe.
Yeah, that's
uh,
what I was supposed to.
yeah, I know we're out of time, but I want to just share briefly before I take the questions, maybe for 5 minutes. Probably others have to go, but I encourage you to keep learning. There's a free resource that you don't have to pay to learn. So keep learning Azure fundamentals and cloud concepts. And if you want to build and learn Azure with AI, there's actually a free resource in Microsoft Learn as well that you learn both the AI concepts, the basic machine learning, and at the same time, you could speed up your level from basics of Azure and AI, and then you build something with AI. So I encourage you to find time if you want. And I have a tool that I really like, which is called Azure Developer CLI, which allows beginners who are new or developers that are pretty new in Azure to learn both infrastructure as code, DevOps, application development, both front end and back end, and deploy it easily to Azure. So I wrote a blog about it, and there's also a learning path for that. And training journey for developers, my perspective, there's certifications as well. If you want to go that path and put it in your CV that, hey, I can do this. And once you have built your skills and you know you can actually certify yourself to be an Azure developer, a developer that can build with Azure. So that's also something. But my key takeaway that I want you to bring home with you after this session is to learn by doing and have fun, like my dog Lawrence. And this is Lawrence actually enjoying winter. Right now it's autumn, but he likes rolling in the snow. And just like learning, don't be afraid to fail. Solve problems, but the most important thing is have fun while you're learning and building things with Azure to enhance your technical skills. And feel free, don't be afraid to ask questions to me or to the community if you need help. My book is found on this QR or link. So if you want copies that are signed, but otherwise it's everywhere in the bookstore, Amazon. Feel free to check it out. If you want Chinese version, I can also try to get that, but I don't think you will. I also have a course if you want a video course, breaking into cloud engineering. This is like more agnostic way to do cloud engineering, and I did not talk about Azure here. It's more like general technical skills, how to career shift to being a cloud engineer. So that's also, I think it's a 2 to 3 hour course, and then O'Reilly give you a Credly badge if you passed it. I have quizzes and sandboxes there. And if you passed it, that's something you can put in your CV as well. I have a user group, Azure User Group Sweden. It's free learning resources. If you want to be a speaker or just want to learn Azure, feel free to join this meetup group. We host bi-weekly and we record our sessions. So we actually have a YouTube channel as well. And if you want to be my podcast guest, if you have a technical, I mean, a story to share, you are also welcome to like be my speaker or be my guest speaker in my podcast. I do this with one of my fellow developers, Shetty. She's from Stockholm, and we lift up women in tech that has stories to share. This is something we do in spare time. So I also want probably Isabel and Shea Kodar leaders also to be in this podcast. So feel free to check it out. So now it's time for questions and for me to stop talking and now for you to ask questions. And I answer in Swedish and English. It depends.
We have one question in the chat.
Oh,
I think we
okay.
take that one, and maybe if the attendees can connect with you on LinkedIn and maybe like
Yeah.
ask
Yes.
some question to you there, maybe it's possible.
Yeah, they can actually. So what was the question in the
The
chat first?
question is from Fabiola. As a junior developer, I sometimes feel overwhelmed by the many services and tools in Azure. Do you have any tips on how to manage that?
Well,
Like
that's a
the
very good.
overwhelmness. Yeah.
Yeah, the practical.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I kind of touch advised on that earlier. That's a very good question. Thank you for raising that. My advice would be, I mean, it's not just Azure. I mean, I'm teaching Azure now in this webinar, but there are a lot of things that are overwhelming. I did mention overwhelming word earlier, but also AI, learning which programming languages to take. My advice would be to learn the basic of fundamentals of each, as I shared. So learn the basic of what cloud computing is, what AI is, and then programming language that you're good at or is you're passionate. Oh, this is a fun programming language. Connect the basics that you know, like connect them and build something simple with it, like baby steps. So start with mini projects, try it out, and experiment, just like scientists or creators do. Just experiment, and to avoid overwhelmness challenge, I encourage you to do it in your own phase, not too slow, like the lagom Swedish way, not too fast, not too little, but just enough phase that you can cope up with it on your spare time. And the second advice would be if you could find a coding buddy or a friend that can do projects with you at the same time at work or in school, just to build something that solves problems or just be creative, do it. And if you have a successfully done that, use the share coder community to share it and then share that knowledge and project out and be proud of it, because once you have accomplished something great that you have built from scratch, and you can share it also to the community and other women in tech or fellow programmers, that is actually very värdefull in Swedish, like worth, and it will actually encourage you and inspire you to make your second project, maybe this time a bit more intermediate level. So take baby steps, take it slow, do it your lagom way. And lagom can be in your own vocabulary or level. So I hope that answered the question. And of course, others can also reach out to me on LinkedIn for more questions. Is there anything else aside from that, Isabel?
No, not more questions in
Oh,
chats,
okay.
but I really love that advice. Super good.
Yeah.
Thank you
That's
so
that's
much.
that's good. Yeah.
I feel
And
like you can take that into many things in life, like baby steps
yeah.
sometimes, and like take it at your own pace, not rush it. I actually take that advice to myself in my work over.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And that's a good thing about community, right? We can learn together, and learning together is more fun when you can be yourself and ask questions freely and mentor each other. That's very good. So feel free to ask more questions. I know we're out of time, but Isabel can give my email address or LinkedIn. But before I share my LinkedIn profile, feel free to take this survey because it's just few questions, your name, I think your email address, and some kind of feedback about about this session. But please fill it up because I plan to give away a few signed copies of my book and some ebooks to lucky raffle winners of the Share Coda community or the attendees today. If you fill it up, if you miss filling it up, then probably um, you will miss the chance. If possible, if you have time, feel free to do that. Please take 1 minute or two, and then we'll finalize.
How come did you start with ended up with Azure in the end and not like?
Ah, that's a good question. I like the voice question. Thank you. Yes. Um, yeah, while others are filling up, I can answer the question. So I ended up working in Azure as first I worked as a developer for .NET. So I developed C Sharp as a consultant, but my one of my previous project was to migrate I think it was a 10-15 year old legacy application on-prem to a cloud platform, and that was Azure. So as a junior developer, I was forced to learn Azure. So that's how it all started, and it also
Slipped,
led me to write the book.
slipped into it, yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah,
then fell
yes.
in love.
Yeah, yeah, yes. I'm actually traveling within Europe and even in US, like Microsoft Ignite conference to share about Azure. So I'm very glad to have the opportunity to share. So I kind of have like my ikigai. I work with Azure, I teach Azure, I speak about Azure. So it's kind of like it looks like I'm working for Microsoft because I advocate it. It's just like I use technology, but at the same time, I see things that could be improved as a developer and an architect. So I always have this privilege as well to give feedback to Microsoft and hey, Microsoft, this is not good. Improve this. So I'm one of the MVPs that has the capabilities and privilege to improve the platform. So if we have things you hate, things you don't like about Azure, I'm one of the person that can relay that back to Microsoft at least. So feel free to share and reach out.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Yes, so I think that's it. I see some of you filled up the form. Maybe we're out of time, but Isabel can share more of the feedback link later. Is that okay, Isabel, if we do it later, like after with like today or tomorrow, so others maybe have a chance?
Yeah, definitely. Can
Yeah,
you
I
just give me
see.
the link? Well, I have the link, I think. So
Yeah, the one
I'll
in
send
the
it
QR.
there. Mm.
Yes. This is the link. Let me share. Maybe it was not. I can share. Sorry,
I'll
we
take
run
QR
out of
code.
time, but I
Oh,
appreciate those
perfect.
that came that stayed.
Yeah.
But that's all for me. This is my contact info. Taxumike.
Mm.
This is my dog Lawrence. He's a big Labradoodle, 40 kilos. He's downstairs. Glad that he did not bark. And you can follow me on Twitter, X as CJ Codere. I'm on LinkedIn. I blog sometimes if not busy on my website, but feel free to reach out if you have questions and need guidance about development with Azure or in general. And reach out if you want to be my guest on my podcast as well. That's all. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for hosting me.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks
so
to
much.
everyone.
It was a wonderful session. I think everyone will agree with that because if you feel like you got a lot
Yes.
overview of the cloud computing and who you are and got inspired, I hope. So
Yes. Yes.
everybody, thank you so much for turning up and see you or like talk to you. Yeah, in the website.
Ja. Vi pratar med ses nästa gång.
Ja.
Tack så mycket
Okej.
allihopa. Uppskattar din tid.
Hej,
Bye
tack,
bye.
tack.
Hej då.